Hey, Thomas, good evening to you. How are you today?
I'm great, Dharam. Thanks for organizing these webinars.
Yeah, thank you for your contribution. So I'm getting feedback from lots of people that they are enjoying the discussion we are having. And one lady was saying, I'm kind of addicted to these videos. So that's encouraging, whatever we are spending time on working together is actually helping other people, finding them inspirational. So thank you for your continuous support in building this, the knowledge pool.
It's good to hear feedback, and that it's positive. And I would even love to get in contact with these people and exchange and help them. As you know, I'm mentoring about 15 people. It's not about project management only and leadership. Also some refugees, but it's very interesting and to give back to these people and help them to develop while they are young still. I'm of age. I'm retired, but that's the benefit. I have a lot of stories to tell, and I've made some experience and
yeah, exactly. So the lessons we have learned from our lives can inspire somebody and can maybe help them to take their next step even very well prepared, more prepared.
Yeah. And to reflect on my life, my first project I did in 1974, and most people were not born at this age who are listening to us. And after some years of being a IT developer and being a systems engineer at IBM, I decided in 1988, and that's to move a career into project management. And I left over the other stuff. I left aside. I was no longer pursuing systems engineering knowledge, but I'm focusing on project management. And the main reason is that I understood from my first big project that it's about people, about communication, and about the topic we will talk today, emotional intelligence.
Yeah. So, Thomas, we'll get there. But first of all, the topic of today is very interesting, very useful to the most project managers, program managers, or even leaders, today's leaders. The emotional intelligence in project management. While we're talking project, but as that it can be applicable to anybody. It is about understanding your own emotions, what's happening within you, and what is happening with other people, other team member, your society, and your partner, and how can you have a relationship, fruitful relationship to your team, yourself, and for the organization. And look, the important thing to understand is if you are working with machine, we know the machine can do the same thing again, same way, exactly same way, most of the time, unless it has a problem. But humans are not, you cannot expect that they come every morning and do the same way, same productivity, whatever they did yesterday, they're going to do today and maybe more. It's not going to work like that. We need to understand that these are human with the people, they're breathing in, breathing out, and there are a lot of things happening around them in their home, with their work, with their society, and that impact their day-to-day work, their productivity.
Mm-hmm.
And us as well, when we wake up in the morning, we can be happy, we can be cranky, and if we're happy, our productivity is different. And if we are not happy for any reason, we didn't have good sleep, then we are, irritated and stressed, and we behave differently.
Right.
Yeah. So there are many things we're going to talk today, how we can assess ourselves as a project manager, program manager, leaders in the organization, and how we observe other people, and what can we do to motivate them to have the productivity where the project can successfully complete.
Right.
So not further delay. So I like to get started on this topic, and it's very interesting topic and very, very useful. People listening today, make sure don't just worry about the. Of course, we need to worry about the dates and the money, the investment. A lot of things we have to worry about. The benefit to the customer. But at the same time, remember you're working with the people, and you need to take them along with you, and also your stakeholders, your senior
Yep.
managers. So they have some expectation from you, and you communicate to them, how you communicate with them.
And I would, Dharam, extend this view beyond the project, the program portfolio, the professional view, which is certainly important and maybe interesting to our listeners. Yeah. But it's also, as humans, we are all part of a lot of communities, where we are learning from, where we are reacting to. Some people say we are social animals, and we are that. We cannot live in isolation.
Yeah.
Actually, we would get mental problems if we live in isolation for too long, and we would eventually die from that isolation. It's not good for our health and for our stability. We need contact with other people, and even there's research saying if you have why would you live for a long time in a healthy state, and they made some correlation that all these people who live long and are healthy and happy, they have a lot of different relationships. They know people from different angles, not only the same people in the family or in the community, but a lot of people. They have not only friends, but people that know each other, and the relationships were built certainly mainly in the professional time. So that's why it's important for us professionals to volunteer, to go into an organization like PMI and to meet a lot of people. And we have just seen the Las Vegas conference of PMI attended by 6,000 people, 3,000 on site. And people are coming to these events, because they learn something. They listen to presentations, but mostly they also come there to connect, to meet new people, to meet old friends. And I was at conferences at PMI for many, many years, since 1999, my first one in Philadelphia. And since then, I went there almost every year. And the point is, you meet people you only meet once a year, face to face. But then the relationship is trustful and positive, because we share the same profession and background, and we don't have to deal with each other every day. So it's very positive. We only remember the last conference, which was positive, and we hug each other. We are friends, and we even help us. We connect through LinkedIn, and we help us if we have a problem. So that's happening. So I can only recommend to become a member of PMI, go to these conferences, join the local chapter, and go there to extend your network. And it can be extended even to a private level if you meet the right people there.
Yeah, so these conferences and networking opportunities, wherever people can find, definitely add value to you. Not just for the sake of, hey, I want a new job, or of course that's important. More important is, how can I find somebody who like-minded people?
Yeah.
And when you have like-minded people talking to each other, the wavelength, we are on same wavelength.
Yeah.
And we feel very excited from inside.
Right.
And that's where we a little bit drift from the chapter, from the topic, but that's again still part of the emotion. We emotionally get connected, and when we need, when we get departed, and you are from Germany, I'm from, you are Dallas and the US, and we may not meet physically every time, but we are connected now. Our wires are connected, virtual wires are connected.
And as we are social animals, the point is, animals have no logic, no rationality. They only have emotions. They have the gut feelings. So we are animals. So that's emotions what connects us. So if we feel trust in somebody else, if we feel good about them, and then we are connected, and we are becoming more open and more helpful even, and that's what we do. And project management is especially fact, if we have now almost 9 billion people on the globe, and or we have 9 billion, I don't know the latest figures, but from these 9 billion, only, my estimates, only 66 million are project managers. It's a tiny percentage of humans. So it's and I experienced myself. I'm married since 1985, to the same wife, and
Good.
even she now, she doesn't want to hear about project management and projects and problems and whatever that is. So I needed someone to talk to about that, and I found it within the chapter. So that's actually how I got connected to the chapter and meet like-minded people with the same problems. I sometimes compare it to anonymous alcoholics. You go there because you have the same problem and nobody else wants to talk to you. And so going there, feeling well, and having someone to share, and even if others share their problems, you can relate and you feel better then.
Yeah. So that's where there are a few tips we're going to have today around how to be a better listener and how to analyze the situation, self-awareness, self-motivation, self-managed, and interpersonal skills and leadership skills. So that's where we're going to get into, whether via network or within your work environment, and how can be a better connection.
Correct. So let me share, for our topic, emotional intelligence.
Yeah.
I'm presenting it in my leadership master classes and my leadership presentation webinars. So, and let me share that one slide, as a talking point. So
go ahead.
People can read what I'm talking about and can refer to that. It's a slide, saying emotional intelligence is not the opposite, but it's another view on humans than the view of logic. Is somebody intelligent? Means, is he rational? Can he deduct, understand easily? Can he be logical? But emotional intelligence is somehow another view on the same human. How does he work with his emotions? So the first thing, it's you see 4 quadrants on the slide, and the upper part, it's about myself. So if I look at my emotional intelligence, I first talk about myself. On the left-hand side, I observe myself. On the right-hand side, I act on myself. And so later on, if you look at the lower quadrants, we have we don't look at ourselves, but at the others. As I said, we are part of a lot of communities and networks, and so we look at the others in that community network. So we observe others, and that's called empathy. We just try to understand basically, what they are feeling. Are they good-minded? Are they even open to listen to us? Are they, what is there? And then on the right-hand side, lower quadrant, we act on others, and that's called influence. And influence, in the end, is what you need as a project manager, what you need even more as a program manager and as a portfolio manager. So these are basic skills. Influencing is about leadership, because as a leader, if you want it or not, you influence others. As a leader, people are following you. Like Gandhi, when he started, he certainly didn't have any leadership classes, I think, but he had an influence on others, and they followed him. And now, it can be a burden. So sometimes you don't want to be watched, and maybe you have some bad habits that show, and people are watching you, and they're seeing it all the time. And this comes back to the upper left corner. So let's talk about a little bit about self-awareness, why it is important to start with yourself and being aware of what you are doing. So if you are self-aware, you have no blind spots, or you have only a few blind spots. You know who you are, what are your strengths, your weaknesses. You know that you always do like that, and but you are aware of it, and it doesn't bother you if you have these tics or strange behaviors. So this gives you, if you are self-aware, more confidence about yourself. You know who you are, and you're not embarrassed about yourself, not ashamed what you're doing, because that's me. That's what I'm doing. And it also gives you some authenticity, because which is then effective on others. If you're authentic, you're always behaving in the same way. You show the same values and the same behaviors. Then you're also authentic. You are predictable for others, which is good. Because if you have a manager, you don't want to be surprised by this manager every day about strange behavior, strange orders, whatever. But you want to see, okay, this is a guy, a leader, who is helping me something, and I can go to him. I trust in him. I can go to him and ask for help. So that's about authenticity. If he is authentic.
Yeah.
So if you work on your self-awareness, then you get this confidence, authenticity, and you know about self. And what I did, in young ages, when I decided to become a project manager in '88, I then had a lot of leadership classes from IBM, but I also had some classes I visited and paid for myself, to develop my personality. And at this time, there was no talk about emotional intelligence, but actually it was about self-confidence, and authenticity. And I learned about all these tools and techniques and how to develop this. So one thing that sticks out even 30 years after I attended this class was that we had to go to a farmer's market and get a carrot for nothing, to ask for the carrot, and then get a kind of string, and then bind the carrot to the string and tear it behind me and walk through the market. And then people notice you, and this is a strange behavior. Not everybody walks with a carrot behind him through the farmer's market. Yeah. So eventually people laugh at you, or they look at you. And some ask. Some are crazy enough to ask you, what are you doing there? You can explain it easily. It is a rational thing. So they said, oh, interesting, maybe I'll try it. So this carrot walk, is still in my mind, and it gives me the impression I can do what I want, it's me, and I do it with confidence, and it's okay to do it. Yeah. So not to be ashamed of you. That's about the self-awareness.
So, it's very, very interesting area, self-awareness, knowing about ourselves, what is happening within me, and what is going to be my behavior. Of course, it's not predictable all the time, but more you are aware of yourself, you know what you're going to do in some situation. And yeah. When you are acting on something, when something is, when you're about to take action, which can be, which can result in negative outcome as well. You can, okay, hang on. Before I take the decision, let me think. Because yeah. You're self-aware. And many times we react to most situations. If you take, the longer you can have as a gap between the action, you can behave, your thought process will be different than what you're about to react. So yeah. Take your time to be self-aware and know about the emotions going inside you. Why are you behaving like this? What can be the outcome of this behavior?
Right. So self-awareness basically puts your senses, which trigger emotions, to the rational and conscious surface. So you are consciously aware of what you are feeling. And only then self-control can kick in, as you said. Take some time to think about it. That means, take some time to feel the emotion in you and bring it to the conscious level and think about it. Yeah. So that's also one thing I learned from that class. It was, and from that class on, I never ever was angry again. Because angry is a reaction, automatic reaction based on some emotions, which is based on some perceptions or senses we feel. So if you're driving your car and somebody pulls in front of you and have to brake, Some people start yelling at the guy and starting to be angry, and I'm calm. I'm even thinking, does this guy have a problem? Maybe maybe he's drunk or whatever. Be cautious. Yeah. So self-awareness is that you are conscious about your emotions, and self-control is that you then, with your consciousness, can think about these emotions and what your appropriate reaction would be. So in this class, we learned to understand our triggers of angriness. Yeah. So what are the things you normally are angry at? That's what we discussed in the class. And then, ask yourself, if you feel the trigger, do I want to be angry now? And the answer is no. And so you can have another kind of reaction for that. So this is basically self-control about these emotions that trigger knee-jerk reactions normally.
Yeah. So to build your self-awareness, self-control, I think few of the things people can do. Of course, I will, because I'm coming from yoga and meditation, that helps me personally to be aware of myself. When you sit down or doing physical activities and you focus on that, and you sit down and just do nothing, you're thinking about your thoughts. You become more aware of your thoughts, and then you plan yourself. Okay, you know what? This is the action I'm going to take. And you mentioned one thing. If you're getting angry, if you know that you are about to get angry, you can control it. Hang on, why I'm getting angry? Why these emotions are coming? And accordingly, you can bring yourself back. Maybe you go outside and walk for a minute and so, and then come back. Hey, I don't know why I was reacting on that way. And he probably is feeling apologetic to that person. Hey, I'm sorry, but I was about to get angry about this. But so that's where the self-control comes. Self-awareness and self-control, I think they are mutually, they have to be together. You cannot.
Yeah, they are together. And as you mentioned, yoga, and you're a professional in yoga, you give yourself yoga classes. So I attended some yoga classes years before. And this yoga teacher was very great because he showed us ways to be self-aware and control our body functions, So control your heartbeat, your breathing. Breathing is very important in yoga.
Oh, yeah.
And even other bodily functions. So that and it was amazing, to be able to do this stuff with my own body. And but you also can do it, in a professional way and dealing with other people. Self-control is, for instance, you get an email in the afternoon at 3 o'clock, and now and you want to respond, really shoot back and do that. And the basic advice is no, sleep over it. And if you do that, the next morning, you have a totally different view on that email. You even have solutions and ways to handle it, but get away from this immediate reaction, which is not under self-control, but which is still a knee-jerk reaction based only on your emotions, not on thinking about it.
No, definitely, that's a very important point. Sleep over it. As when I was part of PMI Sydney, I'm also spent some time in PMI, and I was part of board, and I'm new to this position, and I'm a secretary of the chapter. So a lot of discussion, a lot of things were happening around. As any political group, you have some emotions and your thoughts happening, and everybody has their own agendas. So I was center of all the discussion because I had to listen both sides as a secretary of the. So sometimes I was reacting. I getting email and responding. Then I realized, hey, that's actually making the situation even worse. And the director at the time, the president of the chapter, he was a great guy. He's a great guy, and he guided me. Look, Dharam, don't react like this, and you take your time. And all the advices are great because, as you mentioned, don't react. Sleep over it, and your thought will be different. Your emotion will be different, and your outcome will be different. Otherwise, you can aggregate this whole situation, and you never thought it's going to be so big. People are fighting, and
Right.
Testing each other, and all the political thing happens. So that's where I think being in self-control, self-emotion are very, very important. And everybody should practice on that and think about what's happening. And simple things like breathing in, breathing out. Can I see my breathing in? How much breathing in I'm taking? How much breathing out? And then slowly start becoming more and more aware, and start having some kind of a plan for every day. I will do some exercise or walk, cycling, something which help you to have a discipline in your life.
Yeah, right. And it also helps in other situations, like if you are presenting on stage, maybe now imagine you have 200 people in the room and you are presenting something, and you get out, you are announced, you hear that, and you have to get on stage and start with the presentation. And you have stage fever, maybe, and stage fever is emotions, and they come from a fear about different things, and self-control. What I learned, is just before you go there, you take a short exercise in deep breathing, deep, slow breathing, and there are other tips how to do that, how to go there and be really more relaxed on the stage, and also even if you are in a situation speaking and forgetting something, why not pause for 3 or 4 seconds? It will even give the audience the impression that you are in control. Because people who are pausing, they have the time, they are in control of time, they are in control of everything. They give this impression. So that's a good way to do the self-control. So if you are self-control, and from meditation, you are more mindful, you're thinking about what's happening in your world, in your reality, and it builds your resilience, because you are not reacting, on an external trigger like that, but you step back, you get the impact, and then you think about what to do, and you find 3 or 4 ways to do, and you select, and you are automatically becoming more resilient.
Yeah, and believe it or not, all these things we're talking here it's not like you're born with this, born with these skills. Some people say leaders are born, and I don't believe in that. If Gandhi was a leader, he became leader actually when he was 48 or something. It's not that he was born. He was I don't want to talk about it, but it's something. All these things can be developed. Sometimes you learn from your own experience, from other people's experience, from some accidents, some trying out, lesson learned. All this can help you. But don't wait for lesson learned and let me put my hand inside the fire and let's see if it's going to burn or not. Yes, it's going to burn. So learn from other people's experiences. That's what when you're watching this presentation, you're learning from my experience and Thomas' experience. So that's where it is. So you're doing a good job. So try to build your muscles about how can I be more self-aware, how can I have a discipline, self-control, resilience.
Right. So as you talked, are leaders born, or how much are they born, or are they made, or whatever? I don't think I share your opinion that leaders. I even extended it to say everyone is a leader, because as life comes by with the situation, you have to become a leader. So you are a parent, a father, a mother. You are a leader of your kids. And you come into a situation where you have to help others. Somebody gets hit on the street, and you step in. You are a leader. So leaders are made by situations, by life, and situations almost always come by surprise. And then you better be prepared to be a father and a mother and a helper on the street. So you have your first aid course, so that you know how to reanimate somebody. And emotional intelligence, what we just talked about, is exactly one way to prepare yourself for this situation in your life when you have to show that you are a leader. And now the lower part, talk about how I deal with others, and I observe others. It's about empathy, you know. It's about how do I learn from others? You know, I think it was Gandhi who was saying, we have a conversation, and I rather want to ask you a question than to tell you something, because what I tell you I know already, but I want to learn from you. You know what you can tell me, and so there's a saying: he who asks questions leads a discussion. And that's exactly here, you know, learning and active listening. Active listening is a set of techniques you can learn. You can attend a class or whatever, and learn how to active listen. And active listening is that you don't put forward any statements or arguments. You know, you just ask questions and encourage the others to open up. You know, by things like nodding, you know, or opening up the hands, or asking for more input, or yeah, saying things like yes, yeah. So this is active listening, and you can easily become better in active listening by practicing it. But you have to be very conscious about learning anyhow. You know, you have to know what you're learning, and then step it. So empathy is also about if I look at people, you know, it's one thing is what are they doing, what are they thinking. So analyzing them is a little bit intelligence about what are their rationals, but it's more important to think about their emotions. So are they receptive to me approaching them, and how should I approach them? Should I come with an argument, logic, or should I first show some empathy in the fact that I say, okay, I have the feeling you're not feeling well in the moment. So that's why we ask, how are you feeling? And, you know, you look at the face and say, yeah, and you can have this kind of discussion. Very important with people on your team that you don't ask them for a task, you know, if you can see from their face or from anything else, you know, that they want to have a problem in the family or whatever, you know. And you have to understand this. And it's not only about the individuals you're talking, but you can also have empathy for a group. And you have to have it as a team. You have to feel the team moral in that particular moment. You know, if you are in a room group, you can feel it. You can smell it sometimes, and you can smell, you know, what the organization is feeling in the moment. You know, so I know I worked with IBM, and so from November on, we had this end of the year craziness within IBM. You know, everybody was looking at the annual targets, and they were not done yet. So everybody pushed for additional actions and signings on the 31st of December and everything. So we talked about the hockey stick mentality. You know, the whole year was flat, and then, you know, from November on, it went like that, with sales, with revenues, with everything. So yeah, I have to feel that, you know, and then you can do a lot of things maybe in February, because everybody is on vacation, you know, they are spending their bonuses, and you can implement changes very easily in this time, but not in November, you know.
Yeah, so being aware of external factors, you know, is very important. You know, a couple of things you mentioned, especially like IBM example, where, you know, November, December, they're crazy because they are busy in their meeting their KPIs, SLAs, and you know, they have some bonuses attached with that, their promotion attached with that. So if you ask them at the time, nobody's listening to you. You have great idea, I don't care about it. You know, let's put it on side. But come January, not January, but because they just came out of New Year, February, March, the different attitude. You know, they are more happier and more calm. Now you can get the things done. So what you're talking about is being aware of the situation. And, you know, I've seen, and I'll tell you one thing, you know, when somebody call me, they want to sell a credit card, or they want to sell some home loan or something, they just bombard me with the information. Blah, blah, blah. We are calling from this company. These are my advantage. Hang on, what are you talking about? I may be it depends on my situation. I may be happy, I may be angry, I may be very busy with my own work, done some deadlines. And if you come and talk to me, I will definitely, switch off the phone. I'm never going to talk to you. The first thing, as even marketing people or the sales people, they should build a relationship, bring the other person on the same frequency. Understand, if not on the same level, let's talk at some other time. I understand, appreciate you going through, you have some emergency, let's work on it different time, tell me when is a better time for you. So what you've done here, you have understood the environment, what the other person is dealing with, and given an option so that we have a better time and better discussion at the time.
Right. So that's what you're describing as sensing the context, of the situation you're in. And this context, in the same situation, it might be totally different from the context point of view tomorrow, or with different people. So it's a situational thing. You have to sense the context of the situation, and maybe you'll find things that are similar than yesterday, but most probably not. It's a specific situation. So we're living in this kind of moment where you might even find a situation, an opportunity that was not present yesterday, but now you can grab it and act on it. So for empathy, and finding situation, just judging people, the famous example you can watch in a lot of old US movies, is a car sales guy, who sees a couple coming in, and and he immediately feels or asks a question to know who has the spending power, the wife or the husband, and
who's the decision maker.
Right, who's the decision maker? So and then the focus changes, and the arguments change. It's more about colors and smells, or about engine powers and speed. So the argument changes. This is looking at the context, have empathy for the people, and the good car seller is the one who can build the trust with the other people, and has a lot of empathy. Can read the signs of these people coming in. And then
that's a very good example in the car sales person example, because when this couple is coming, you can say that if the husband is the decision maker, you can talk about speed and performance and something like that. But when wife is the one decision maker, you can talk about the color and the beauty and the interior and the exterior, because she will not understand, not good being biased, but she will not pay more attention to the engine. I don't care about engine. I just want the beautiful color and the shape and size. So that's where it is.
Smell the leather seats, please. Yeah, how good they smell. Well, and if you meet in business, like our business, you meet new people, and so look them up in LinkedIn, and maybe you find out, they are a supporter of football. And they hate tennis, maybe that, So then you don't talk to them about tennis, or you want to put them off, but you might want to talk to them about the football in the area of their team, whatever, and then you have a better common ground to discuss, and that is needed to build trust. That's coming to the last quarter,
But before we jump to the last point, I want to talk about my situation when I joined HP, and I'm going to do this cloud data center for Asia Pacific level, huge investment, a lot of work going to happen. And I'm coming with the zero knowledge of cloud. I have done data center migration, the other things, but cloud, only thing I can do, fluffy things inside in the sky, but that's what I know. So I'm going to work with, and this is very important. And I have no resources at the moment. I have no knowledge of cloud, and I'm going to work with people. They hate project man. This person, the network guy, the network manager is going. Somebody told me that he don't like project manager, program managers, and so and so. So initially he was ignoring my calls. He's not responding to my messages, the email. So I thought, okay, whatever people are saying is correct. But when I was going with him to data center, we have to go together because of something. And instead of talking about the work, I'm talking about, other things. As you said, LinkedIn, look at the LinkedIn and other ways to find out what interests to the person. So when I'm talking about something interest to him, and he's looking at me, he's not talking about Dharam, he's not talking about work. He's talking and differently, and he's more interested in me and my family and my way of thinking. And suddenly we realize that we have a different level of frequency match. And after that event, that visit, he said, Dharam, at any time you need my assistance or you want me to come to a meeting or anything you want, just call me or knock at my door. I will be there with you.
Yeah.
So he was, one is I judge based on what people were telling me initially. And he has built his perception because all the project managers are like this. But when we're talking differently. You need to build a relationship as if you're talking to the first time. Yes, you have some past experience. People change. If something has happened, doesn't mean it's going to happen again. So what is happening now, understand and find the common ground and talk. Exactly. That's what one thing you mentioned about the networking. Networking, when you go and talk to people, you find some common ground. And when you find the common ground, you find the relationship. For a long time.
And you always can find common ground, even in politics, countries can find common ground, In the end, we have human desires which are common, and we like sports, we have kids, we have whatever, cars, and we always find something to talk about. And actually, this is the exercise I did a lot when I was working for Japanese clients, somebody said my most important project manager competency is going to dinner with Japanese. And then you build the trust and you build the common ground, and from which you can make business or not, and that's very important. Yeah. So let me
very important point actually.
Let me come, because we a little bit talked about that. If I have empathy, I feel what's going on. So what I'm going to do with it is I can act accordingly so that the other is receptive, to me, and that's influencing. And influencing is the most important single skill for project managers, because you influence your team, your customer, your sponsor, your management, external guys, every stakeholder, you have is to be influenced somehow. And the problem for project managers mostly is they have no power to influence. If you are a manager in a chain of command, you can order people, do this, do that. Maybe they don't do it correctly or whatever, the best way. But as a project managers, you are often working without authority. So your influencing skills come from other means. And this means leadership and emotional intelligence in the way that you exert. You bring others to do something they didn't think on their own in the first way. So how to do that, and when do you need it? I wrote it down there. You need it in conflict handling. If there's a conflict between team members, or a conflict between the customer and your business or whatever, conflict handling is about influencing others to cool down their emotions and to talk about the problem. Mostly, if you have a conflict, there might be a underlying tactical, rational problem. But in conflict situations, mostly it's about emotions clashing, and people, I don't like this guy, I don't trust him. And then you have a conflict because you cannot come to a joint conclusion. And there might not even be a problem beneath it. It's just, this emotional level. So conflict handling first has to deal with these emotions to go down, and to come to a talking rational level, to a joint level, to have this. So this is conflict handling. And if even the power of position doesn't help a lot in conflict handling. Your boss can tell me, stop this arguing, but he goes out the door and you start again, because you hate this guy. As a project manager, if you deal with that conflict and you help solve that conflict, it's more deep, because you really have to go down to basic feelings of the conflict partners. And then negotiations, the same thing. Sometimes you need a resource, and it was promised to you to work this week, and then another project has priorities, and you don't get then you start negotiating. Can I have him at least two days a week, and then he has to do this and that, and you negotiate with the customer. Is this a change, or was it in the scope? So there a lot of decisions you make every day based on negotiations with others, because it's not important just to have a plan and execute it and then help it. It's important to deal with these deviations. The deviations are caused by humans, and they are caused by situations that come up, and you have to handle it and deal with these conflicts and negotiations. And if you influence others, so people say, I don't want to influence others because that's manipulation. If I learn these techniques, and it's propaganda, and now we see it in the war times. It's on a geopolitical level, but even in the project, and the point is, we are not really influencing in a bad way. So we are influencing in an ethical way. So you have to be aware of your ethical values and how they relate to the group you are in, and then you can influence ethically. You don't do harm to the people you influence. And that is mostly ethical. Not it's also situational, but you have to look at influence in an ethical way, and then you are on a safe side. You are a good person. You are a great leader. People will follow you. You will be authentic, and you will be not harmful and damaging to other people. So, by the way, that stakeholder management I showed you. If you look at stakeholder management, how it's explained, it's exactly having empathy and influence.
So the stakeholder management or engagement, one of the things, PMI changed the word of stakeholder engagement now. But whether you talk about the empathy side or the influence side, both of them equally important to understand your stakeholders and who they are. Of course, there are many things you have to think, whether positive, negative, and whatever. But this is not a constant thing. You cannot say I did my stakeholder identification, evaluation. When I started the project, we need to continuously evaluate this, because what happened when you started the project versus now, when situation is changing after 2 years, 3 years, they may not be same positive what you are doing now because of their own situation change or their motivation change. So understand that, update your stakeholder register. Stakeholder register. Actually, we are talking now PgMP and PfMP. Update your stakeholder register and keep updating. And you pick the right thing which help you to work with them. Because some of the information important for your team to handle, what communication to send out, what is the frequency, and what media we're going to use. These are important, which you need to capture them. But there can be another stakeholder register only for your eyes, which help you to how I would work with these people, what they need from me, what are the things I'm going to do to take them from here to the next level.
Right.
So influence happen once you mentioned correctly that if you talk what they want to know from you, you are in alignment. Let's say you're an organizational leader and you're talking, hey guys, we are making so much money, we are now number one, and the shareholders, the dividend was so much, and blah blah blah. And the employees, they're listening, hey, what about me? I'm the one who's working hard. You didn't talk about salary raise or bonuses or anything else. So when you're talking to your employees, talk to them in their language, what they're expecting from you. If you're talking to the shareholders, of course, they like to know about company performance, blah. They don't want to know about your employees, the what is happening in your employees, the training you're provided or not. They want to know, how are you going to give me the dividend I'm looking for? How the ROI you're going to give me? So that's what understanding who they are and provide them information they're expecting from you. That's where you build rapport with them.
That's more on what you described. Just is more on the left side, the observe side. You are, and we talked about the context. You look at the context, and the context is changing from day to day. And maybe if you have an exercise of stakeholder analysis in the beginning, that's worthful because it gives you a baseline. But then stakeholders change. Not only are you adding stakeholders who are important for your project, but also the individual stakeholder, as he goes through the timeline of the project, he might change his opinion. He will hopefully change his knowledge, and maybe change how he's thinking about stuff. So you have to be aware of that the stakeholder, which might be your friend in the beginning, might be an enemy after 3 months because something happened, to him. And then he changed jobs, he changed targets, whatever. He got depromoted, whatever. And you have to understand this, and they have to monitor it, and you have to be aware of it. And then you can and the right thing, influencing leadership. I understand that's more the core of stakeholder engagement. If I engage with people, I'm trying to influence them. So for me, on purpose, I named it stakeholder management because it includes stakeholder analysis on the left-hand side and stakeholder engagement on the right-hand side. And you do that in a project, but you do it much more extensively on a program, and certainly do it in a portfolio management.
Exactly. So, Thomas, do you have anything else before we close the topic?
No, I think, if anybody has a question out there about that and wants to deep dive for any of the quadrants, for any of them, there is a vast amount of trainings and information and books and everything out there. So, from this slide, you just have the headlines, but then, you can deep dive in and improve yourself. And it's a lifelong journey. I'm out of not the profession, but out of the business right now. I'm retired. Still, I'm working on myself to improve all 4 quadrants, especially what I was interested in to improve the 4th quadrant, the influence one, because that's very interesting if you look at the political situation right now. So my last point maybe is here, some project managers don't like politics, and politics is included in that, negotiations, conflict handling, influencing corner. But I urge you to look into that because you need it.
Yeah, being aware of politics, that's why I think, not just becoming politician, and politician more like, pulling legs. Hey, why you get a promotion? I'm not getting promotion. You do something. No, being aware of what's going on, and then your communication or conversation will be according to that.
Okay.
So, great stuff. Good discussion, and we have talked about various important topics today, and being self-aware and being self-in control, and how can I have interpersonal skills and leadership skills, and all this you can learn. It's not that you have to born with that. You start, hey, my son is born, I start feeding him the leadership quality. No, he will learn from his own experience as well. And we, as a parent, we try to give them okay, this is what you should do, and improve yourself internally. Think about what's going on. And one important point we talked about: take some time before you react. Sleep over. Next day you try to answer your different. Way you answer going to be different. Many things you can do for yourself, and hopefully all this discussion, or if you apply them, will help you to improve your project management, program management, portfolio management, and leadership relations. Who knows what else?
True.
So thank you, Thomas. Thank you for sharing your lifelong learnings and this engaging discussion. For this kind of lessons, sometimes people have to pay a lot of money to get some feedback. But yes, with these free sessions available on YouTube, I hope people are finding them useful and utilizing this knowledge. And love to know if any discussion which you learned from us has helped you in one way or other. Because if you see the results, it motivates us
to go on with that kind of. And the source of this knowledge and wisdom is limitless, you know.
Yeah, yeah. And this topic is still evolving. And emotion intelligence, first time I heard this topic, one of the PMI conferences, and she put a beautiful presentation. At the time, I was not paying attention, but I realized actually this is, even before the technical knowledge and project management knowledge, emotion intelligence is more important to deliver the work.
Yeah.
And that's why a lot of interviews, they don't just focus about technical side of the project management. They know you have to have that. If you don't have, if you are PMP, probably 90% you can be sure that you have some experience. But emotional intelligence is something not reflected. There's a tacit knowledge. And that comes out of any discussion, situation questions. What will you do if this is the situation? What will you do if this is happening? So that's all these questions are trying to understand your emotional intelligence. So guys, it's an important topic, and explore more. And of course, you can talk to me and Thomas for anything you finding useful. Connect with us. LinkedIn is a very good way of connecting. And send out a message. Hey, I like your video and discussion, and like to have further discussion on that. Love to hear this kind of positive communication from you guys.
Yeah. Thanks again, Dharam, for making these webinars happen and putting them up. Yeah. It's very appreciated. Yeah.
And thank you, Thomas. And while this looks conversational, but it takes a lot of effort from us to come to this point and have discussion and have to a meaningful discussion, which will be useful for you. So thank you for putting your hours after hours for lots of conversation we have done so far. So thank you, appreciating your contribution.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye. Take care, guys.